Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jays with Down podcast. I'm your host Jay, and today we're going to be talking about Hasson Reddick and the New York Jets and the whole drama going on there with him requesting a trade out of New York, wanting to leave, after not even practicing for the team, yet alone playing a single down for them. So we're going to talk about that, and also we're going to get into Dallas and the whole Prescott, Ceedee Lamb situation, contract wise, and all that kind of stuff, and where the Cowboys should prioritize going forward with that. So all of that coming here today on Jay's Fit Down. But before we get there, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment with your friends, your family, your fellow football enthusiasts out there. Getting closer and closer to the season, guys, if you think about it, because kickoff is September 6th. So just a few more weeks. And we'll be starting the NFL 2024 NFL season. So make sure y'all are already following our socials to stay up to date. Once kickoff begins, everything you need to know about the NFL right here from Jay's Fit Down. Hit that subscribe button. Continue to help us grow here on the channel on YouTube. And, as your host, I'm very excited to enter another season with you guys as we continue to follow the National Football League. So without further ado, let's begin. So starting off with the Jets and Hasson Reddick. This is a guy, he's 29 years old. We know Reddick is a very good pass rusher in this league. A lot of teams would love to have him on their roster. He played with the Cardinals, the Eagles, the Panthers, of course, most recently with Philadelphia. He was a huge reason for their Super Bowl run just 2 years ago. Along that defensive line with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and, all those guys. Like he was a huge part of that. And so last year, he had a good year last year, 11 sacks a season ago in the 2023 season. So, but he gets traded from the Eagles over to New York, and now he's wanting a contract extension. And the Jets are not willing to pay him that right now. Joe Douglas has already come out and said that we're not gonna do it. We're not extending him right now. And, he's going to continue to get fined until he comes to practice and everything and shows up with the team. So that being said, it doesn't look like Hasson is going to get that money from New York at least. Now, could they potentially deal him? There's a chance. There are a few teams that I like to mention that I think he'd be a good fit on. One of them is being the Atlanta Falcons, my hometown Falcons. I think they should definitely they should call the Jets, at least call them and try to work up something, because they have lacked in the pass rush department for a long time now. And I think Reddick could instantly come in and be, being in a fresh environment, working with Raheem Morris and that defensive staff. And, I think it would be a good fit for Atlanta's defense, right? So that's just something to think about. Another team could be the Cleveland Browns. Perry Hill and Myles Garrett on that defensive line would be lethal, because the Browns already have a solidified, solid defense there. And just adding Reddick will just instantly just bolster it up more. You say same for the Chicago Bears, and the Arizona Cardinals, two teams that are in a rebuilding phase, so it might not be as wise to trade draft capital for a player who's kind of on the last few legs of his playing days, so to speak. But again, it's like one of those moves. It's like, well, if we make it, it could work for us, in the short term. And if it doesn't work in the short term, you just got to make sure that contract isn't killing you salary cap wise. And that's the only thing. So, like I said, plenty of suitors out there. If New York wanted to trade him, plenty of teams that will be probably every team in the NFL will be lining up to snag Reddick. So that's just something that we need to monitor as we get, go closer to the kickoff for 2024. But I personally don't believe that he is. I think the Jets are going to end up paying him what he wants at some point. Because here's the thing, guys, that people need to understand. When it comes to football, the NFL really, and these players, we see with the quarterbacks and the receivers, and we'll get into Ceedee Lamb in a second, but we see that once one player gets paid a certain amount of money, like if they're getting extended or just signing contract, like for instance, if you look at, look at Deshaun Watson. Once he got that guaranteed money from Cleveland, $230 million guarantee, you're seeing these other quarterbacks like, hey, you know what? I'm valuable to your team. You need me to win. I want to make more than him. And the market just keeps resetting itself over and over again. Like one person gets paid this X amount of money, then the next person sees that. They're like, hey, you know what? You need me. Like I just said, you need me. Your team runs through me, operates offensively, defensively. So I want more than what he's getting paid again, and it just keeps happening over and over again. These teams keep overpaying. They're going to do it because they're doing it out of desperation. They need these players. A lot of them do, like especially quarterbacks. You're telling me the Eagles don't need Jalen Hurts, the Ravens don't need Lamar Jackson? Come on, like they need these players, so they're going to pay the money. The Minnesota Vikings, they need Justin Jefferson. Why they paid him that big receiver money? And now Ceedee Lamb is looking to top that. He wants just as much or more because he feels like he is just as valuable to the Cowboys as Justin Jefferson is to the Vikings. And I won't sit here and say that that's I would disagree with it completely. Because you look at Dallas last year, a lot of their offense pretty much ran through CeeDee Lamb. A lot of receptions last year, top in the league, over I think almost about over 100, 20 receptions, over that number. So they were throwing the ball a lot his way. And yeah, he pretty much was their offensive attack. And without him, and if he's not there, then it's gonna be difficult for Dallas to produce offensively, in a consistent manner. So, which again is just tell you that they also should need to even their offense out, and they're hoping that they can solidify that wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 spot. Brandon Cooks has impressed in camp. Banged up right now. The only problem with his is durability. Like he struggles to stay healthy. But and then at that wide receiver 3 spot, and you're looking at Jalen Tolbert possibly, so it's just, but still, like, I don't know if CeeDee Lamb is worth Justin Jefferson money. I don't think he is, really, to be honest. Like, he is a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's not on the level of Jefferson, Chase, Cooper Kupp, like Tyreek Hill, your top receivers, Devontae Adams that we know in the league right now. He can go out there and produce good numbers like them. But as far as on the same talent level, no, CeeDee's not on their level, not yet. They're better. So I don't think he should be getting paid more than those guys are. Should Dallas pay him? Probably should. If they don't want to just completely further dig their grave this year. Not even just in the playoffs, but in the regular season. So that's something to think about if you're Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. And Jerry Jones has had some recent comments about CeeDee Lamb. First, he was like, "Oh yeah, well, at first he was like, yeah, it's like it's not the end of the world, if he's not here. It's like, he's like, then it's like, oh yeah, we miss you, CeeDee, and this and that, and it's like it's just this back and forth. Like we don't know what's going on. It's like Jerry Jones. I'm gonna tell you, Jerry Jones needs to just sit down and just he needs to go hit the Shady Oaks Retirement Village. That's what he needs to do. Shady Oaks Retirement Home. That's where he needs to go. Call it a day, because the Cowboys have been messed up since he took over, and they will continue to be as long as he's running the show. And they're not going to ever sniff a Super Bowl ever again, as long as that Prescott's a quarterback and as long as Jerry Jones is the owner. So that's just how it is with Dallas. But all those things considered, Dak Prescott is also due for a contract extension. Now, the Cowboys, here's my thing with Dak. And they haven't paid him yet this year, which means somebody in that front office is paying attention. Somebody there is like, okay, maybe Dak, isn't automatically worth all this big QB money that these other quarterbacks are getting paid that have actually gone and produced in the postseason before. So that they haven't extended him yet. Otherwise, if they believe otherwise, they would have done it already. They'd over CeeDee Lamb, of course they would have, because teams are going to prioritize their quarterback over every other player, because that's how this game works. This sport, quarterbacks are the most important position on the field. At least in most teams' eyes, most owners, most coaches, most of their eyes, that's how it is. And that Prescott would have been paid by now, but he's not. And he'll be a free agent next year. So the question is for Dallas, do they view him as valuable enough to the team for him to get that contract, or can they reach agreement on what, if they want to bring him back, is that Prescott does he feel like he's it's easy not feel like he's getting lowball, so, which I think he's not, because I'm sure A lower number than what he's asking for is reasonable considering how he's performed in the postseason. Like in regular season is cool, yeah, you put up those good numbers, but when the postseason is when it matters, guys. The postseason is when it matters. Can you get those playoff wins? Can you take your team to the NFC Championship or Super Bowl? He hasn't done that yet. So that's just what I think about that. And the question is, will Dallas pay him? If not, then hey, I expect to see a few teams kind of suiting up or being suitors for him, next offseason. Someone mentioned to me the Raiders as a possible option. I can see that because right now their quarterback position really isn't solidified, really either. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, who have both reportedly been struggling in camp. That's a big question mark over there for Antonio Pierce and his crew. But back to here, yes, I think the Cowboys are they're done. They've been done, really. They're cooked. They've been cooked. They will continue to be cooked until Dak Prescott leaves the area, until Jerry Jones leaves the area. So that's how it's going to go. But it's something we're continuing to monitor here on Jay Smith Down. Like I say, still at a standstill. No really discussions have been taking place yet, really, with the contract as far as CeeDee Lamb is concerned. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think they should pay CeeDee top receiver money or not? Do you think that the Jets should keep Hasson Reddick and pay him top edge rusher money or not? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on Jay's Fit Down.